There you go. Am I on spotlight? Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. Hi. Good afternoon. I hope you guys have a good break and good lunch. For those who didn't join us this morning, when we're working on 135 or GPS, I applaud. I hope that you will follow through with someone who was in the session, and maybe you can get some notes from them or get some tools from them. We had actually about 320 people that sign up for this class. So I just want to give them a 1 or 2 minutes. So before we start, why don't you share with everyone what was your lunch this afternoon? Just quickly share out, right? What's everyone's lunch this afternoon? What lunch did you have just now? Maggi goreng. Come on, what else? Mee hoon, bread and soup. Oh wow, daging merah. I like that. Wow. Curry laksa. All right. Where do you get curry laksa right now? Okay. Fried mee hang and tong soy. You eat myself. Massimo bread. Okay, cool. Hokkien mee. Wow, I'm dying for Hokkien mee right now. There you go. Japanese curry and salad. Awesome, 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 awesome. Now, having your lunch now, lentil soup. I like that. Chicken noodle. Awesome. Cool. A quick question: how many of you have sat in a class here, either virtually or physically, in a class where Jonathan Kuek was teaching? How many of you have done it? If you have done that, please press 1. If you have not attended any of his class, please press 2. So we kind of know who are the people inside here. Oh, quite a few people haven't gone to your class. Wow. 1 many times, 2. There are a few 2s here I can see. All right. Cool. Okay, Jonathan Kuek, you are quite famous actually. So a lot of people have attended your class. All right. Well, today, our conversation this afternoon, it's really evolving about how we are going to follow up with our clients. And a lot of these strategies and this thinking is based on what we call the lead generation model. And it's actually based on this book written by Gary Keller about close to in the year 2001, 2002. This was the book that was written by Gary Keller that basically is the only book on the entire planet that has a system and models behind how a real estate agent should run their business. And today we're going to dive deep into some of the things that you do in terms of how do you initiate 33 or 36 touch points. How do you then have that structure or system to support you to follow up with your client? Because I think follow-up is the critical component of our business that most of us struggle. Now, how many of you inside here are struggling with follow-up? If you are, type 4. How many of you struggling with follow-up? There you go. 4. All of us, a lot of us are struggling with follow-up. So I think today I want to pass the time to Jonathan Kuek. Jonathan Kuek, are you on the call?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, so Jonathan Kuek is from MC1 in our Redfield family. He is also a platform leader that owns a platform called FDRT. They have a group of people where he's actually training them and working towards project marketing that is doing very, very well. He's also what we call the regional KW Malaysia regional training faculty, where he is part of the team behind the scene that is sitting down and curating all the programs that we have for all of us to go through. So he's one of them in that conversation. In fact, we just had a meeting with all the training faculties today. So he's one of the main training faculties that supports the region to help us put in programs that is relevant. So how we structure training program is we have agents on the ground who are willing to share their life stories and their challenge stories, who are willing to follow the system and models and use the materials and then bring it back to us as leadership and have that conversation so that we are bringing the relevant training programs for all of you. How many of you think that currently all the training we are doing is relevant to you? Say yes. If you think it's relevant to you right now, say yes. That you can use it straight away in your business. There you go. Absolutely. So with this, with no further ado, I'm going to pass the time to you right now. John Kuek, take us away.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, John. Now, first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming to this Zoom call. And I saw some of you are first time here. I just want to say welcome, welcome to this Zoom. And yeah, John just introduced me. I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Jonathan Kuek from MC1, and I've been in this industry for almost 7 years. And also one of the KW Malaysia faculty trainers, as mentioned by John, and to teach about millionaire real estate agent, which is this one. And one of my strength is about lead generation model, and my whole entire team are practicing this right now. So now over the last few weeks, we have been attending training from a different awesome speakers, right? Everyone are very good. We talk about lead generation, economy model, budget model, organization model, and all these are very good. And this morning, we also talked about 135 and 411, and also the one thing, and I thought it was the best training of all, you know. Now, when we talk about mastering follow-up, right, there are two big problems that all the real estate agents have. Number one is that sometimes we over-focus on quality leads. That's number one. Number two, wait a minute. Number two, we have a very poor follow-up skill. Now, why do we have a very poor follow-up skill? Is because we tend to focus on the quality leads, and we want to ignore the people that is not ready to buy. Now, what does quality leads mean? Is that the client is ready to buy. Now, as mentioned, you might be ready to make a sales, but your client might not be able to buy now. So if you are still focusing on quality leads, you need to make a change at this moment. Now, because you focus on quality leads and you don't want to focus on the client that are not ready to buy, therefore your follow-up skill got a little bit problem. Now, one of the reasons why your follow-up skill is not that good is because you don't know what to do and you have so many leads going on here and there, right? So one of the reasons why we want to bring in the follow-up is one of the important topic is because we believe that all the money is actually come from follow-up. Now, if that is true, then what are the systems that you have in place to follow up your client systematically? Now, the reason why we are here today, how many people in this room? I think about close to 300, right? The reason why we are here today is because we want to be a tech-enabled agent and not just a normal agent. Now, what is the difference between tech-enabled agent and just a normal agent? Just imagine every one of you in this room is tech-enabled agent. I give you an example. It's like all of you here are using a smartphone, but a normal agent are using a Nokia phone. Can you see a big difference? A tech-enabled agent is more productive and more efficient. They can do things very well. Now, you like it or not, good or bad, technology is coming into your life, especially in real estate industry. Now, I never thought that I conduct classes in a small hall, right? Maximum is about 50 or 80. The biggest crowd that I have is about 250. Now look at the room today. I think if we go on live on Facebook, I think we can easily reach out to 1,000 people, because if every one of you here hit the share button, I think easily we can reach out to 1,000. Now, can you see how powerful is technology? 1 person to 1,000 person. Now, just imagine today if you are using technology to run your business. So the key is that the reason why we are here is to be a tech-enabled agent, especially use technology to follow up your client and let the AI take over your job, yeah? Now, I just want to quickly give you the outline, the overflow of the skill set that you must have. Now, when we talk about part one, we want to talk about the cold call skill. That's part one. This is one of the lead generation activities. Now, when you generate leads, we talk about lead generation model, right? If lead generation model is not a problem, you know how to generate leads, you know what to do. Your second problem is your follow-up skill. 100% is your follow-up skill. So part one is what we want to focus. Now, when you master your part one, then you move on to part two. Now, what is part two? Which is presentation skill and also your closing skill. Presentation skill, you can be an information provider, but you don't know how to do call to action. Wait a minute. All right, so I just want to do a quick test here. Wait a minute, yeah. Just want to do a, sorry. Give me a second. I'm having a problem here. All right, cool. So I just want to quickly do a test here. Now, how many of you here, let's talk about cold calling from the scale 0 to 10. 0 means very bad. 10 means very good. Now, from the scale 0 to 10, where are you right now when we talk about cold calling? You can put 0, which is very bad. You can put 3, you can put 4, you can put 5, you can put 8, 9, or 10, which is very good. Now, tell me, where are you right now? Some people put 3, some people put 5, put 10, put 10. All right, what else? 4, 3, 4. Now, if you see some of the people here, well, still going on. Some of people here. Now, if you see some of people here, their cold calling skill is very bad, but they have a different marketing channel to bring in leads. So that is the cold call skill. Now, I want to move on for the next one. Follow-up skill. From the scale 0 to 10, tell me, where are you? Right, Fazana say 10. Right, we have made the bill say 8. Anita say 6. Definitely bad. Marcus say don't do it at all. Right, some people say 5. Some people say 6. Right, so roughly I know where are you. Now, if you look at the chat, from cold calling or follow-up skill, people who are putting about 8 or 9, I think 60% of them are from my team, because that's what I focus on. Because I believe your part 1, if you do it right, cold calling skill, if you are at about 8, 9, or 10, or follow-up skill, if you are at about 8, 9, or 10, when you master this 2 skill, what you will bring? You will bring appointment. Now, that's what the part 1 that you need to do. Now, when you do the part 1, then I want to move you into part 2, which is your presentation skill and your closing skill. I've seen a very good information provider that they only provide the information, but they don't know how to get the sales done. They don't know what is emotional selling. Now, when you master your part 1, then you master your part 2. When you master your part 2, that's what you will get, right? So some people say, hey, John, I actually don't like, I don't like doing cold calling. It's all right. You have 2 things to do if you don't like cold calling, because eventually you still need to do cold call anyway. Number 1 is to hire a telemarketers to do for you. Number 2 is that you train an agent to do the cold calling, because you cannot stop generating leads. Because I understand that in a shift market, you need to be very, very proactive. So if you don't master your part 1, you're not going to have appointment. You have leads, but your follow-up skill is very bad. Then you can't bring appointment. If you don't have appointment, how are you going to do presentation? Who going to let you close the deal? You understand what I'm saying? So your part 1 and part 2 is very, very important. Now, when we talk about follow-up, we have 3 common mistakes here.
Hey, John, can I go back to the slide that's now the four things, the part 1, part 2? I just want to make a quick question or a quick remark here. Because if you guys notice here, the audience notice here, this is a sequential method or a sequential process of how to get a sale in place. Notice how many people, and tell me this from the audience, how many of you, the first thing you learn is presentation skill? How many of you, if you are the one that you always think that presentation skill is important and you always do presentation skill, how many of you are doing that way? And that's the challenge I see, because they don't follow the sequence. You work on presentation skill, you work on closing skills, but actually you have got no one to talk to and no leads to follow up with, right? Yeah. So the goal is to follow the sequence. If you read the book called The One Thing, it says very clearly that success is sequential. If you get the first sequence right, the rest of the sequence will follow through. I hope that today with this short, conversation that John is telling you right now, this is that one thing you must remember. Get the leads in, follow up, get an appointment, then you master your presentation and your closing skills, right?
100% correct.
Yeah, okay, sorry, go ahead. There you go.
Some people come in and straight away tell me, John, teach me how to close. Wow, how?
Yeah. So to answer May's question, it's the same. You want to learn about presentation, you work on getting an appointment. When you have that appointment, then you work on the presentation, right? You need to learn how to create the opportunity for more appointments to come in, and then your presentation skill will be automatically better because you've got more people to work with, right? There you go. Back to you, John.
You're correct. Now, if you're a new agent, I won't ask you to master all 4 skills one shot. All you need to do is to master the part 1. And do you know the organization model when we talk about this? Is to leverage someone who are very good at part 2. You master the part 1, bring the leads, and let the productivity coach, let the trainer, let someone who is experienced to do the part 2 for you. Because we believe if you bring an appointment, if you bring a client, it's very tough to bring an appointment, and I don't want you to make mistake. So one of the culture that we have in FDRT is the first 3 clients, we will attend for you. You see how we do a presentation. And the 4th appointment, I see you how to do the presentation. That's how you go. So part 1 is the only skill that you need to master, lead generation skill and also your follow-up skill. Then part 2, you will only know how to master the skill when you have appointment, because you can't jump into part 2 for sure. All right?
Yeah, go ahead, proceed. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's move on. Now, the top 3 common mistake when it comes to follow-up. Number 1, people just lazy to follow up. They're just lazy. They just don't do follow-up. They just want the quality leads and forget about the client that they're not ready to buy now. They want the client to buy now, and they don't follow up the rest. You know, that's number 1. They just don't follow up. Number 2, they have insufficient preparation. Now, when I talk about insufficient preparation, it's number 1, you don't know what to do when you make the call. You don't practice your script. You don't know what to respond when the client say no to you. And you don't know what to respond when the client don't reply you or the client went silent. You don't prepare yourself for a call. And your conversation with the client, and there's no structure. And when it comes to follow-up, a lot of people are very scared. And when you're scared, you give up so easily. You give up so easily. That is one of the problems that I see. I see a lot of potential clients, but our agent didn't really go and follow up. Later, I will show you some research study and some fact about the follow-up per 1 client, the average follow-up with 1 client, right? So that's the thing. Now, Gary Keller said this: if you don't know how to follow up your leads, nothing else really matters in your business. Because I believe follow-up is where the money is. If you don't have lead generation problem and you have follow-up problem, then it doesn't work. That's the part 1, you know. Now I want to go back to about give up easy. I want to tell you a story. Now, I'm not too sure how many of you here have experienced before a client doesn't like to talk to you, but your client like to talk to another agent. You just don't have the connection with the client. Now, how many of you have experienced this before? If you have experienced this before, comment below and let me know. Right, you have experienced before. Now, I just want to let you know it's normal, but don't give up. You know, sometimes we just can't connect to the client, but you pass it to someone else, because some clients just like to talk to ladies. I don't know why, you know, some clients just like to talk to ladies. So if I have a very potential client and the client doesn't like to talk to me, I will pass it to a lady to talk to them. And don't give up so easily. All right, that's what I want. That's what I want to tell you. So in my team right now, when we want to follow up a client, right, the client went cold, went silent, just doesn't like to talk to us, we won't give up. We circle the leads in our platform. We pass to someone else. We pass to someone else to follow up, right? Cool. So Gary Keller say this: if you don't know how to follow up your leads, nothing else is really important in your business. Now, there are 3 F's that I want to tell you when it comes to follow-up. Number 1, we call follow-up. Number 2, we call follow-through. Number 3, we call follow-back. Now, you might want to take a picture of this, and I will explain one by one about what is, when it comes to leads, what is follow-up, follow through the client, and follow back the client. Now, when we talk about follow-up, it's your first connection to the client. I give the example. I believe some of you do sub-sale here, some of you do Facebook here. Now, if you receive leads from iProperty, or if you receive leads from Facebook, the best thing you want to do right now is to call the client within 10 minutes. And that's the first follow-up that you want to do, because your follow-up is to build the connection. Now, I realize one of the problem is a lot of agents take their sweet time. To call the client. The leads comes in after 5 minutes, or sorry, after 1 hour, 3 hours, or maybe after 1 day, then only you call back the client. Now a hot lead will become a cold lead, right? So your first follow-up it has to be very quick, instant, and immediate, whether it's from iProperty or from Facebook. Now, when you call the client, when you call the client, you're gonna say you want to make an appointment, right? You want the client to view your listing. You want the client to go and see your sales gallery. Now, what happened in between? Let's say Monday you make a call, and then Saturday you want the client to look at your listing. What are you going to do in between? Now, that's the follow through. Now, follow through is to do what you are going to do, is to do what you promised to do. Now, if the client say, yeah, I'm gonna take a look at the listing on this Saturday. Now, it's either Wednesday or Friday. You need to follow through the client. Now, that we call reconfirmation follow-up. That makes sure the client is coming, or just to remind the client. Now, follow back is that a lot of times when we try to follow up a client, as I mentioned, you might be ready to make a sales, but your client may not be ready to buy now. Okay, they may not buy now, maybe this month, maybe next month, maybe 3 months later, 5 months later, 6 months later. Now, but that doesn't mean that he's not potential. A lot of people, because of this, I need to wait so long and I forgot to follow up the client. And that is because you do not have the system in place, you do not have the technology in place to remind you what to do. So follow back is to follow back the client who is not ready to buy at that time, and just to check with them, where are you right now? You know, as in, are you ready to buy now, or what are you looking at? Or is there anything that I can do for you? Or is there any service that I can do for you? Now, this 3F is very important, is to follow up your client, follow through your client, and follow back your client. Now, why I put follow back is a yellow color is because I believe every one of you here, almost 373 people here, you have a lot of clients to follow back. A lot of clients to follow back. Now, look at the database, follow back the client, all right? Don't waste it, don't waste it, okay? Now, I just want to show you that some of the follow-up message that I have, to give you some of the example, right? So some people say, when you have Facebook, you know, Facebook leads comes in, right? Straight away you call the client, then you want to send a message. Now, some people say, then what happens if I do cold call? And after cold call, what are the messages that I want to send? And I'm gonna give you an example. Now, if you don't do follow-up, no point generating leads. I want you to write this down. If you don't do follow-up, no point to generate leads, because it doesn't work that way, okay? Follow-up, lead generation and follow-up have to come hand in hand, all right? So I'm gonna give you an example that how do you send a follow-up message? Wait a minute. How do you send a follow-up message when it comes to, sorry. Okay, when it comes to cold calling. Now, your first follow-up message after you do a cold calling, right? The client showed interest about the project that you are proposing, or the listing that you are going to take. Now, the message is, hi, Mr. Lim. It was so nice talking to you over the phone earlier. Please see the attached M Vertica e-brochure and click the link to enjoy the virtual show unit. By the way, Mr. Lim, would you like me to send you the latest sales chart? Sorry, this kind of follow-up message, right, is what we want to do during this MCO. It's not after MCO, because we want to focus on transaction right now. We want to focus on productivity right now, okay? So give example that you send the follow-up message today, and you make the cold call today, and you send the follow-up message today, right, which is this one. Now let's move on. Now, when's gonna be your second follow-up? Your second follow-up will be day number 2, because you call the client before, the client show interest, then you send a follow-up message. Then your second follow-up is, hi, Mr. Lim, good morning. Just want to quickly follow up with you on the project that I proposed to you. How do you feel about it? Now, you will notice that all the follow-up message that I send is end with a question. It's because one of the tips I want to give it to you is that when it comes to follow-up, every message, right? Every message end with a question, because you want to keep the conversation going. All right. Now, if you look at the first message, right? Would you like me to send you the latest sales chart? In fact, I'm actually leading the client to the funnel to select a unit. Now, a lot of people will probably just say, just say attach the M Vertica e-brochure and click the link and enjoy the show unit. That's it. And thank you and have a nice day. Hardly I do that, because I want to end with a question. I want to keep the conversation going. All right. So this is 14. 16, I sent another message. Now, this scenario, I'm gonna give it to you, is based on a very negative scenario where people don't reply you. And I believe every one of you have this kind of client. They went silent, they don't reply you. But how do you follow up your client, right? So this is my second my second follow-up. Wait a minute, let me see. Okay, cool. Now then your third follow-up is gonna give a call. Now 14, you send a message. 16, you send another message. How do you feel about it? End with question. And then the next day you give a call, because you don't hear it from a client, right? All right. Then what about your fourth follow-up, right? Your fourth follow-up is gonna be on 21st, 1 week later. Okay. Hi, Mr. Lim. Hope you have a great weekend. I just want to quickly update you over the last 1 week. We've sold about 10 units and a few potential clients to follow up. We've just launched a house key campaign, and it reduces 20% of the monthly installment. And this is by far the best campaign initiated by Maybank during this MCO. Okay, would you also be interested to know about a free interest during construction and save up to 30,000? And I think you are qualified for this. So let me know if I can do a Zoom call with you. Now, what I want to do right now is I give a few unique selling point, and I want to quickly do a Zoom call with the client. I want to let the client know how good is the deal. Now, this is the fourth follow-up after 1 week. Okay, I'm not going to give up even the client went silent, but I'm going to tell them this is the best thing that we are having right now. And this is the 21st of April, all right? Now, if the client don't reply, how? The next day, give a phone call, all right? Then continue number 6. Now, you've been followed up quite some times, you call a client quite some times, and you're not sure where are you right now. Now, a lot of people, they give up probably at this part. They probably give up at the number 4 follow-up, or they probably give up at number 5 follow-up if they don't pick up the 4. If they don't pick up the phone call, and they will probably give up at the 5th follow-up. And they say the client is not potential, the client not interested. But did you receive a no from your client? That's what I want to ask. Did you receive a no from your client? All right. So number 6, if you're not sure whether the client is interested or not interested, you can send this kind of script. Hi, Mr. Lim, good morning. I call you several times, but I guess you must have been busy. Your feedback is very important to me because I want to be purposeful to you as a property consultant and to give you the best quality service that you deserve. And I hope to hear from you soon. Now, you can come up with a different script about this. Basically, you want to know where are you standing right now. You want to know the client, where are you standing right now, but I don't hear from you. So did I just drop you or you're not interested or what? Because if you're not interested, please tell me. Don't be afraid to hurt me, as a real estate agent. Please tell me you're not interested, because I want to know what you want so that I can propose something that you want. I don't want to propose something that you do not want. All right. So this is how many follow-up already. This one is a 6 follow-up. Now, if the client don't reply you, still don't reply you, are you going to send the next one? Now, tell me if every one of you here, tell me if you're going to send another follow-up, you say yes, or if you want to put the client aside, you say If you want to put the client aside, you put number 2. If you're going to follow up a client, continue to follow up a client, few days later, you put number 1. Show me.
Hey, John, someone asked, what if you got blocked by WhatsApp from the client on the second follow-up? What would you do?
I will pass the number to my telemarketers and ask my telemarketers to call. Now, I think that is very bad. Second follow-up, the client blocked me. I think number 1, that doesn't show very strong interest because I know what I do. Client appreciate the way I follow up because the way I follow up is very close intensity and frequency. And that's how I show the client the level of service and care that I care about you. You know, if I don't follow up closely, it means I'm not a good agent, right? So if the client block you, maybe the client doesn't really like me, but he still want to buy property. I will pass it to someone else and call. Because if the first call, the client show interest, I just want to know the first call. If the client show interest, I will follow up until they buy, sell, or they die. When I say they die, means I serve until they die, until the end of his life, because I want to continue to do business. All right. If they show me interest at the first place, I will continue to follow up. All right. So that's the thing. Now, a lot of people say we'll continue to follow up. Some people say we'll give up. Is that a question I need to answer?
Yeah, Intan asked, what should we answer to a client if they ask where you get the phone number when you do a cold call?
All right, so that will be part of the cold call training. I will highlight later to you. I don't want to highlight here right now. I will highlight to you later, okay? That is different part of cold call training for this. So I will move on first, all right? That's number 6. Now, when it comes to number 7, the follow-up, you take a break first. You take it a pause, you drink a 7-Up first. Now, when I show the 7-Up, I want to tell you a story, guys. I want to tell you a story. I remember this story my mentor told me before. And I think the message behind the 7-Up story was quite strong. It's about a man who wants to start a cola company. That he want to come up with product and he want to make it the best soda product in the market. So he started with first up. You know, obviously your first product will not be successful straight away. You know, that it started first up and fail. And then he go on the second up and fail again, third up and fail again, and fourth up and fail again. And then he tweak a little bit the recipe and start with 5th up. But the marketing wasn't doing that good. Then he say, don't give up and continue to do that. He go and borrow money and everything and then started 6th up. Now, you know what happened? It fails again. Then they look at each other, the partnership look at each other and say, you know what? We go bankrupt, our company go bankrupt, and we just gonna give up the company and we just want to sell the company. And that company A sold to a different company, and you know what? 7-Up was born. Now, why I want to tell the story is sometimes you think you might come to the end. You think you follow this client might come to the end and you want to follow up. You want to give up the client. Now, I want to bring it up is if you're passionate on something, don't give up so easily. Don't give up so easy. If this guy didn't give up, didn't sell the company and continue to do 7-Up, it might happen. Now, if you don't know what to do, when it comes to follow-up, you're confused, you don't know what to do, you don't know what to send, talk to someone, get a coach, look at your message. How you structure a message to send to your client. Now, remember there's one project I do. I sit down with an agent, I think 3 hours. The agent come to me and say, John, I sent all the message to my client. I think 100 of them. I follow up 100 of them and no one reply. And I remember people who attend my training before, I say, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. I sit down with the agent, I say, give me all the client, filter all the client that you want to follow up, and I will follow up for you. And I book the meeting room. I sit down with him for 3 hours. I go through about 50 clients. Let me tell you, all the message that I drafted up, and almost 50% of the client reply. And the phone keep ringing. Whether the client want to buy or don't want to buy, or I still can follow up, I filter one round. Now, follow up is about whether the client is still interested or you filter the client that is not interested. Now, so sometimes it's not about what you do, it's how you do it. Different people follow up got a different result. All right, so that's the things that I want to highlight to you. Now, I want to change the way you look at follow-up, and I want to show you some of the data. Now, this one is Jonathan's son, which is one of our team members, that he came in, don't know how to do follow-up. He doesn't know what is SPA. He don't know what to do. Very green, very fresh, just graduate from somewhere universities, and he really don't know what to do. And today is a cold call master. And his follow-up skill are so powerful, and all the appointment come from follow-up. Now, some people say, if I do cold call, will I get scolded from my client? Now, ask Jonathan's son, how many people ask you, how did you get my number? And he can answer that question easily. All right. Now, I want to show you some data. Now, you say 80% of the sales require 5 follow-up phone calls after the meeting. This has come from research. Now, if you do some research about Harvard study, that you will see almost a similar result. 80% of the sales require 5 follow-up phone calls. Now, I just want to go back a little bit. Now, from the first follow-up until the 7th follow-up, how many phone calls we have done? We've done the first phone call, and we have done the second phone call, and that's it. Out of the 7 follow-up, we've only done 7 phone calls, and most people give up. But the study show 80% of the sales require 5 follow-up phone calls after the meeting. All right, that's the fact number 1. Now, let's look at fact number 2. 63% of the people requesting information about your product or your listing will not purchase for at least the first 3 months, and 20% will make the decision more than 12 months to buy. Now, just imagine that when people are focusing on quality leads and want the client to buy immediately, that's not going to happen, because 63% of the people will make a decision to buy for at least the first 3 months, and 20% will take more than 12 months. Now, if you do not have system, model, and structure, you're going to lose all of them. But reason is because you don't know this fact. Right? So the last one, 50% of the leads are qualified, but not yet ready to buy. Now, remember I told you, your number 1 mistake, the most common mistake, number 1, people are lazy to follow up. When you know that you have 10 leads, meaning to say 5 are actually qualified, but they are not ready to buy. What are the system, model, and structure are you following up with this client? That is what I want to bring it out to you. What are the system, model, and structure that you're trying to follow up this client? 50% of the leads, every 10 leads you receive, 5 are qualified, but they're not ready to buy now. All right, so that's the thing. So Jonathan's son just posted a video, and I thought this is the best video of all. He uploaded it at YouTube, and I watched it about 6 minutes, guys. So if you want to watch what he's going to talk about this, click the link and go to YouTube and click the link, and you can watch the video. Yeah. All right. So what I want to say is to change the way you look at things, and things you look at change. Now, if you know the data, if you know the fact, people done the study, and I show you the 7 follow-up messages, and you have only done 2 calls, and you know that the sales, at least you have to make at least 5 calls, right? So now I show you the data, you have to see the things differently. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change, all right? So that's the thing. Now, I always say this, a lot of people are very scared when a client say no to you. How many of you clients say no to you before? If clients say no to you before, reject you before, say yes. Say yes, right? Cool. A lot of people say receive no, but we don't take it for an answer, right? Correct? We don't take no for an answer. Now, when you change your mindset, when a client say no to you, it means next opportunity. The project that you propose to me, maybe not this one. when they say no to you, it doesn't mean say no forever. Maybe not this product, maybe the next product. So when a client say no to you, it's actually a next opportunity, right? So this is very, very important that I want to highlight to you. Now, I was talking about the follow-up part. I talk about the follow-up, the some follow-up. I talk about some data, some fact. I talk about how do you structure the message properly. Now, before I go into how to use the 6 touches effectively, and I want to pause for a second and allow people to ask questions about the follow-up.
John, just now Eric has a question about project. He asked how do we do cold call to projects master listing? I think he's referring more on the cold call script.
All right, so I think last week when I conduct a training and I sent out the cold call script for M Vertica project, right? So that's the thing. The cold call script, I can send it to you, not a problem. And end of my sessions, you can join a group and I can send out the cold call script for you. Now, the key is not about you having a cold call script. Now, I always say this, I'm not afraid of people take my script. The key is you don't know how to do it. The tonality that you have, how do you structure, when to post, what to say, not to trigger the client mind, and don't talk like a salesperson. And when you talk, people like to buy things, but they don't like to be sold. I like to buy stuff, but don't come and sell me, hard sell me, I don't like it. No, so when I understand this psychology, when you talk to a client, don't trigger that part.
Yeah.
Don't trigger that part. So you have to draft your cold call script properly, and I can give it to you. You can read it, but it's not going to be natural. So in my team, when I do cold, yesterday there's a new agent call me, and the new agent say, John, I haven't done cold call before, and I'm very, very scared. And I say, I will not allow you to go out and make a call unless you practice 50 times, role play with me, 50 times. And I want to make sure your tonality, your voice, your script, the word that you say is correct. Now, and people say cold call is very tough, and I want to share 2 stories here. I always hire interns from universities. And I remember I hired a lady who's about 18 years old. 18 years old make cold calls. Let me tell you, you make cold calls and an 18 years old young lady make cold calls, who are more in fear? I think the young lady is a bit more scared, right? It's the first time they do this job, right? And you know what? In a 6-month journey with me, she closed 6 deals through cold call. And she mastered the part 1, and I go in to do the part 2. And she's not the only intern close 6 deals, as another intern closed about 6 deals as well, right? That is from, if I'm not mistaken, is from help universities. And all my interns that I hire, all the interns that I hire, I don't let them do paperwork, but I master their cold call skill. So if they can do it, you can do it. It's all about how you do it. Is there any
John, there's a question here, very interesting question from Chris Teo. I tend to prefer WhatsApp message over calling. Maybe I find myself more comfortable in texting. Only call when necessary. What is your comment?
Fantastic. I like that question a lot. Now, there's an agent call me also. He say, John, should I send a WhatsApp first or should I call first? Which one I should do first? Now, the key is not about whether you send first or you call first. The key is to follow up next.
Yeah.
The key is follow up next. You do SMS blasting or you do WhatsApp blasting, email blasting, or phone call. Whatever you do at the first step, it doesn't matter. It matters your second, third, fourth, and sixth step.
Got it.
That's the first.
Jackson has a question for you, quick one. How many calls have the average agent make a year and how many sales they close a year? Maybe let me quickly answer this question to Jackson. It all depends on your economic model. Because if you don't know how much money you're supposed to make and how many listings or how many contacts should you have or how many appointments you have, that's why we teach in a model called economic model, then you will not have a clear perspective of what will happen. So John has a very clear economic model. He has a 1-to-4 ratio for one of his projects. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. So correct. I think the economic model is the #1 thing that you need to talk about. There's one question here very important. I think that potentially it's always burdening a lot of people about calling clients. It is the PDPA Act, the Personal Data Protection Act. Say, what if people want to report you or whatever? So how do you deal with that?
John, Now, if I call the client, say, give me your IC, now I faced the kind of client before. I call the government servant. I think my telemarketers call the government servant. And I think he is quite equipped to answer that question. He immediately says sorry. And I'm so sorry about that. And I'm gonna off the phone now. And the client keeps scolding, pop. Just close the phone, right?
Yeah. So let me be clear on the Act, PDPA Act. We have one phone call to ask permission from the prospect if I could process your data.
Right.
You have that. So you need to know how to do it. So if you will make a phone call for the first time, Mr. Tan, I'm calling for the first time. Would you allow me to keep calling you to follow up with you? Could I have a permission to do that? So these are some of the things that you can do that. It is in the PDPA Act. It is there. You can give that one call to give that option to ask the person's permission to follow up with him or process his data. You can do that.
Correct. So I always ask permission to follow up the client, but you will face this kind of client that they don't like you. They say, don't call me again or whatever. Then you just off the phone, just say, sorry, I'm so sorry, and just close the phone. So that's the things that I do. Any more questions, guys?
Yeah, I think you can move on already.
Okay, I can move on. What type of KPI? Now, maybe I answer this question. If you hire telemarketers, what type of KPI we should set for that? Now, my KPI to set for them, because when I understand my economic model, 4 appointment to 1 sales, I want my telemarketers set 4 appointment weekly so that I will have 4 sales a month. So that's the KPI. So how do you get 1 appointment? Maybe make 100 calls, you get 4 potential clients. Out of 4, there will be 1 appointment, right? So that's the KPI. You must understand that, right? So I'm going to move on, right, guys? I'm going to move on. We'll come back to some of the question about this. Now, when you meet a client, just now I talked about systematically market your database 36 times. Now, when you meet up a client, you want to make sure you keep in touch with the client 36 times, right? And let's say this client is Jonathan Lee, right? Let's say this client is Jonathan Lee. Looks awesome. No, it doesn't look like him, doesn't sound like him. Let's say it's him, huh? Now, when you meet up this client, and you're gonna ask yourself this question: how am I going to follow up Jonathan Lee, right? How am I going to apply 36 touches? And today I'm gonna break it down. 36 touches. How does it look like? And this is for your reference, all right? And you might know about 36 touches. I give you an example. Maybe you're holding your phone, and Jonathan Lee you need to touch base 36 times. And I tell you what happened if you have 100 Jonathan Lee. I think you're gonna waste your time. That is the reason why you must have system and technology to come in. As I mentioned before, be a tech-enabled agent and not an agent. Be an agent who use smartphone and not a Nokia phone. Be productive, be efficient, all right? So now I'm gonna show you this. By default, when I meet up this client, whatever client, by default, I'm gonna send all this. My first touch base is gonna be a New Year wish. My second one is gonna be a Chinese New Year. Let's say it's my VIP client, I'm gonna send a hamper to my client. My third one will be Valentine's Day. And someone say, why send Valentine's Day to Jonathan Lee? Why? Jonathan Lee got wife already. Now, you can send something to John or to this client and say what to buy for your wife. And if I were you, I would say, buy property to show love. Can I say that, guys? Can I say buy property to show love? Now, how many of you here think it's a good idea? Valentine's Day, teach the client what to buy and buy property to show love to your wife. Good idea, right? Cool. So, John, would you like to buy a property to show love to your wife?
I know my wife will like, I'm not sure about me.
Cool. So, then Labour's Day, Father's Day, birthday, handwritten card, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and New Year Eve. Now, the 36 touches by default, there will be 9 in my system already. They will remind me to send out, or I automatically send out, or the system send out, right? So by default, 9 is in this touch base. Now, then by default, every month, you're gonna send out a newsletter, outdated valuable content. Or let's say John is staying in a Mont Kiara area, let's say, and you want to update the client, what is the monthly transaction happening in your communities? I think the people who are staying there, they like it. Now from January, February, March, all the way to December, and I'm going to send monthly newsletter. Then there's a special update. Now you can send something. There's a special updates about the bank interest rate just dropped. You can send a special update about the US interest rate drop to 0 and how does it affect the market. There will be about 5 special updates over the year. There will be some news that you want to send immediately now, like change of policy, like the MREA. They talk about be careful with the unregistered agent, right? They come to you and say, I got a 50% discount of the property. And MREA just come up with an article a few days ago and asked everyone to be careful. You know, that you can send to your client, or maybe something special, right? So I have about 26 touches here already. The question is, how do you structure properly and what to send? And that I leave it for you to think, but I give you the structure. All right, cool. Now, then I want to give a direct offer quarterly, and a year I'm gonna sell something to Jonathan Lee, 4 different kind of product. And maybe the first one at February, I'm gonna send something, hey, I come across this project, quite interesting, 500 meters to MRT station and LT station, and it's good to add this in your investment portfolio. And that is called M Vertica at Cheras. I want to see what happened when I say that. All right. So when I send and no feedback, again, I'm going to do a follow-up. So there will be 4 different projects. It's either M Vertica, Watts Resident, below market value property, or tier 1 project. When you are going to send it, it's up to you. But I'm going to send 4 different direct offer to Jonathan Lee, right? Then you follow up with a follow-up call. So there'll be 4 direct offer, 4 follow-up calls. And then after that, in a year, I want to have lunch with my client, or I want to have an event with my client. I just want to say thank you for journeying with me and the team, you know? So these are the 36 touches that you have with your client. Now, some people say, my client don't like it. My client doesn't like you send me a monthly newsletter, I don't like it. Then you remove that. You don't need to do 36 touches. Up to you. Now I go back. If the client is very private client and the client say, don't send me all the New Year wishes, birthday, don't send that. Just focus on the property and don't come into my personal life. Then you don't do this. This part you remove. You don't need to do 36 touches, right? Then if they don't like the money newsletter, you don't do this, okay? But the special update, they will appreciate it because they like the advice that you give. Because you are a property consultant, they like the advice that you give, that how does it affect the property that you are handling right now? How does it affect the property that you have right now that I'm going to tell you, and it's the best time to sell. And I'm going to tell you it's the best time to buy right now. That is the reason why I'm here, all right? So, and same thing, right? So you can adjust it, but why are we doing 36 touches? Is because we want to stay on top of our client's mind. We want to stay on top of our client's mind so that when they are ready to buy, they know, hey, actually someone is doing property, has been updating me about property market, has been updating me what are the best deal and all that, has been updating me about the local communities, how many transactions is happening. And if I'm ready to buy, suddenly I want to cash out because of MCO and I need money, I will call this agent who has been updating me, right? That's the thing. So this one is the 36 to convert, to get connected to your client. Now you can take a picture of this if you want, you can screenshot if you want. Now I'm gonna pause here for a moment and you can ask questions if you want. I have plenty of time because this one is quite straightforward.
Hey, some of the questions are, what are the best mediums to use? Do you do all this over WhatsApp, or do you do physical mails, or do you do emails? What do you normally do, John? And I think to be fair, it's open for everyone to decide depending on how they feel their clients will like it, or depending on the markets that they're in, right? But John, for you right now, what do you do?
Now for the monthly newsletter, you can do email if you want, right? You don't need to, it's a combination of all. It can be a handwritten card, it can be made out, it can be a WhatsApp. Now let me go back a little bit. Sorry. I give an example. This one, you can do a combination. The hamper, you can meet up with a client and send to the house. Valentine's Day, you can do a WhatsApp and chit chat with your client. The Labour's Day, you can do a WhatsApp. Father's Day, you can do a WhatsApp or card, you know. So this one is a combination, card or also WhatsApp. like a money newsletter, you can do an email, or you can do, I remember the US one, John, if I'm not mistaken, they also do monthly, but they drop it to the mailbox, right, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. So they drive past the neighborhood, they'll drop it at the mailbox. But that's something that maybe is not so applicable for us. But really, it's really up to you in terms of how you want to do it. Would it be physical mailing or e-copy or soft copy? My perspective right now is we're all moving towards the virtual perspective, virtual world already. In fact, now you want to call for an appointment, you don't need to go to see him, you can call for Zoom. I can tell you today, after MCO, Zoom is going to be our new normal. Number one is cost effective. Number two is comfortable. Number three is you don't have to travel, you save costs, right? So that's going to be the new normal. So it really depends on how you are going to think about your business all over again. As I said, do not fight this battle with uncertainty with certainty. Don't look for that certain thing to do. Be clear what your customer like and don't like. Be clear what you think works and what doesn't work. And you've got to try it and trial it and fail forward to learn it. Right?
Yep. Agree.
Yep.
Now, for the monthly newsletter, I remember some of the Asian when I went to Texas, right? They don't do monthly, they do quarterly because they want to save costs. Up to you. It's really see how you structure it properly. Maybe I need a virtual assistant to help me to compile all the questions because this session will be a lot of Q&A lah, because I will be quite fast. So help me to compile all the questions. So the special update, you can send a WhatsApp, not a problem, because WhatsApp, you get immediate response. Direct offer also the same. Just give a call on WhatsApp, or you can send an invitation card. Call the client and say, have you received my invitation card about the project in Cheras, something like that. All right, so that is the thing, and you can take this. All right, now when we talk about when you enter into KW command, that basically you can do this. You can see the dark gray color, right? That's the touches. That's the touch that you want to talk to your client. Like if you look at month 3, number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, right? That's the first touch, the second touch, and the third touch, and the fourth touch. And you will continue to do this for the whole entire year. And you know that when you pull out this calendar about Jonathan Lee, this calendar, these are the touches that you talk to client. You talk to him. This is how you build relationship with the client. That's how you stay on top of the client's mind that, hey, actually every month I'm touch with the client. Does it overtouch? Yes, it's overtouch, but be careful how you do it. You know your client better than I do. But I just want to let you know we have 36 touches over a year. All right? Let me move on. All right? So one of the things that we want to do is every leads that you receive, drop into KW command. Every leads that you receive, drop into KW command. Now, if you're being part of KW Malaysia and you don't use command, it's a big waste. And I think Gary spent about billions to develop the technology, right, John?
Yeah, it spent $1 billion US, committed $1 billion to spend on command, and is currently the only operating system platform for real estate agents in the entire world that sits on one operating platform, where other agents are using what we call bolt-on technology that's from several vendors, but this is an in-house, only self-developed, AI-based, cloud-based technology for real estate agent only.
Correct. So it's built for agent by agent. They build because you need it. It's not because clients need, because you need it to help with your business. That's why they built the technology for you. Remember, tech-enabled agent use smartphone, a normal agent use Nokia phone, where they can't perform, right? So I want to show you a little bit about KW command. Some people know about this, but some people don't know. They want to tell you how good is that, right? Now, if you go into KW command, you can see the name here. Now, look at the last person, Datuk Muhammad Idris. And this is one of my high net worth client, one of our Asian high net worth client, that he bought 2 properties from me before, and is a high net worth client. And I put a tagging there. One of the best thing about KW command is that I can put tagging. Tagging is the most powerful things that I have. Now, if you look at the tagging, you can see M. Arisa, M. Vertica, high net worth client. Now, what we're going to do right now is every leads that you put in, right, there will be a checklist that what are the tag you need to put for this client, so that you will make sure that your leads are healthy, right? So that when I want to filter, I want to look at who is my potential client, I can go into that, right? And that's the number one best thing that I love it so much. And number two, I can create a smart plan. A smart plan is a bi-weekly smart plan. Remember I told you that the 36 touches is actually all here. That if I want you to do, if you have only one Jonathan Lee, it's okay. But if your database got 100 Jonathan Lee, if your database got 500 Jonathan Lee, that's it. Your time is gone and you can't stay on top of your client's mind. And that's the technology that we have called Smart Plan, that we can do 8x8, quarterly call plan, midterm nurture, then we have all this, and birthday and open house follow-up. And so that's the best thing that I like the most. Now, if you know this is important, if you know lead generation is important, if you know follow-up is important, and I want you to time block it. Because I remember John also say this, if it is not on your schedule, it does not exit. And I want you to put into your schedule and time block it to do follow-up or to do lead generation. And I want to show you a timetable that from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? So what are the times for you to do lead generation, and what time you want to time block it? Now, you know your time better. Now, if an agent come to join your team, I believe some of you here are leaders, or some of you here work more than 3 years already. If an agent want to join your team and the agent say, at this market condition, global pandemic, I want a flexible time, I think the agent here got a little bit problem. The mind got a little bit problem. No one work flexible time at this point of time. What situation that you are in right now and you still want to have flexible time? You only want to work 2 hours a day? No. So what are the important activities that you must do is lead generation and follow-up. That you time block it early in the morning, 9:30, first 30 minutes, you do preparation. Who are you going to follow up? What is their status? What are leads that you want to call? You prepare all the information, right? Then 10, 11, 12, you make cold calls, or you follow up your database. You don't want to make cold calls, you make your warm call or whatever. You need to talk to someone else, right? Because we are not just in real estate business, but we are actually in lead generation business. So this is important that you want to time block it. All right, cool. I want to show you something about this. Now, during this MCO, the question is, what are you doing? Basically, we already started lead generation. We do SMS blasting, WhatsApp blasting, and cold calling. Now, this is a conversation that I captured yesterday at 6:30 p.m. And every morning, Ashlyn is our productivity coach in this platform, that she hold everyone accountable in this mastermind group. That if you want to be in this mastermind group, you need to do work. You are not here to enjoy, but you need to do work. So early in the morning that she say, now let's do lead generation today, and end of the day, update how many, what are the activities you do. So if you look at Ashlyn did about SMS, Lily do about SMS, Syed, Mike, Johnson, number 6 about Sam do about SMS. Then number 7, Chris do about 1.5 hours cold call and make about 20 calls, and 1 mapper's potential to follow up, and send 2 videos to follow up also. They are client to follow up. Now Kelvin say just went to the site. Luckily he didn't get caught by the police lah. Luckily he's still here. Now he went to the site because he want to know the site progress. Right? I'm not sure is Kelvin here. I think Kelvin is here. All right. So AD make about SMS. Now if you look at this, Ashlyn continue to ask, Kelvin, what is your client feedback after seeing the site? And Chris, how many H&M status from the 20 that you call? Now, Ashlyn is a productivity coach that she hold everyone accountable. Now, with her work doing this, for her to do this, it creates momentum in the team. Now, the question is, would you like to have this kind of environment that someone hold you accountable, that what are you doing every day? All right? What are you doing every day? You might have motivation to do that for 3 days, but eventually your motivation will go off. Because I believe motivation can only uplift you, but it cannot change you. the accountability should kick in to hold you accountable, because lead generation should be you should develop it as a habit. All right. So that's the mastermind group that we have. Cool. Now I want to highlight this, and I love this from Bruce Lee that he say, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." And I want to explain this a little bit deeper for people who are new here, or very new, or don't know what to do. Now, one of the biggest problems that a new agent have is they take a lot of project and only do one marketing activities. Let me repeat that again. You take a lot of project, from project A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 10 project, but you only do one marketing activities. Compared to an agent who take only 1 or 2 project, but 10 different marketing channel. Which one you think they will close the fastest? Is the agent B, who take only 2 project, but do 10 different marketing channel to bring in the leads. So the key is not about how many projects you have. The key is how many lead generation channel you have to bring in the leads, right?
Hey, John, I think it's the same for sub-sale as well, isn't it?
100%.
It's the same thing for sub-sale, right? We have people who have 1,000 listings all over the place, but there's no strategy, no proper structure of how they lead generate and how do they churn the right leads into the channel of them wanting to do it. So they just take whatever they want to do. They don't look at quality listings. They don't look at specialization and all that. And that's why they only do one thing. And always they only do one thing is they always just put up an advertisement, or they put up a signboard and they pray and hope someone will call them.
Correct.
Because if you are doing signboards right now and you're praying for someone to help call you, I guarantee your prayer would not be answered, because nobody's on the road looking at the signboards. Right? So you've got to think about how to engage the market, how to go and bring the opportunity to the market. What you are seeing John and his team doing right now is they're not staying at home and doing nothing. They are going out there and figuring out what's the best channel, what's the best mode to go out there and bring an opportunity to someone who is looking to buy. That's all they're doing, right?
Correct. It's about to buy. Now, when I look at this quote here, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kick once, but fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. What Bruce Lee is trying to tell you is go deep, don't go wide. And I remember my mentor told me this: think big, start small, and go deep. And this go deep into my heart. Whatever things that you're doing right now, whether it's sub-sale, whether you want to be a specialized in Tamantun or special area, or you want to be the best project marketing, or like Timothy, very specialized in KLCC area, just go deep. That's the key. It's not to go wide, but to go deep, right? Cool. So now I just want to go back this fundamental skill again. That's our internal training program that we talk about part 1, that we talk about part 2. So we just focus, sorry. So we just talk about the follow-up skill here. And we didn't talk about the cold call skill, the presentation skill, and closing skill. And that will be in the mastermind group that will go deep into that, right? So move on next. Now, when we talk about internal training program, I don't just do training like this about Zoom call or follow-up. Now, follow-up is just one of the part. Now, if you look at the 0, 1 all the way to 13, we talk about explaining about rebate. How do you explain in a structured way? Objection handling, how to remove fear of a client. Worry about installment. How do you handle if the client worry about installment? How do you be like a consulting agent? How do you advise your first-time home buyer? If the client concerned about the numbers, how are you going to do? And positioning, how to create urgency, NLP, the reason to buy, and how do you close at the roadshow? And what would you, and number 11, call to action, would you like to give it a try? Now, as I mentioned to you before, clients like to buy things, they don't like to be sold. And when you talk to a client, especially one of the booming market, when you talk to a client and you say, would you like to book a unit? Let me tell you, you just trigger the client mind and the book sounds so committed to that person. But when I change the words a little bit, and I don't say book and I say give it a try, and their mindset change. So how do you structure your words? The words that you say is very, very important. And number 13, how do you handle client if they want to cancel the deal? Now, I have a client want to cancel the deal and say, John, I want to cancel the unit. I'm going to share these tips to every one of you here. And I think it's very powerful. If the client want to cancel a deal and you know that you cannot save the deal anymore, right? What happened is, sure, no problem. I want you to proceed with the cancellation letter, but I want you to sign at the show unit. I won't email to you because developer want it in a hard copy. They want the original form, and you need to come to the sales gallery and sign. And before they sign, I will do my one last time to convince the client. You can only convince the client face to face. You cannot convince the client over the phone. And I will try one last time to save the deal. And I use these tips a lot. And I think I saved a few deals from here before. So that's the coaching training that people come into FDRT. And this is one of our training programs that we have. Now, it's not just me training. And I have the student, which is Jonathan's son, yesterday post about the follow-up things, that he started talking about the follow-up. That because I believe if you want to master a skill, you need to teach. If you want to master a skill, you need to teach. It's not sit here to learn, take notes. You can take notes, take a lot of notes, 100 pages. But if you don't teach or you don't practice, it's the same thing. So John talked about why follow-up and the purpose behind it. And this is part 1. And part 2 and part 3 is coming out soon. So he talked about that how he do follow-up and he closed a few deals from here, right? So before that, you have any question, guys? I almost done already. You have any question about this? Did I miss any question?
I think someone asked, how do you gather personal information about their wife's birthday, their working address? How do they do this and that and all that? How do you get that information?
All right. So number 1, you don't ask, you don't get. So you ask them. I hope I answered that question. Some clients, they don't give and it's all right. And I just want to make sure my database is correct. If I ask, they give, then it's all right. Because if you don't ask, you will never get it.
Hey, Nasrul, here's one script for you if you're interested about asking about, for example, the customer's wife's birthday. Hey, Mr. Tan, good morning. I'm updating my database right now, and I really value you and your family. And I just want to have some information here so that when the right time comes, I can reach out and send the right notes and the right gifts and opportunities to you and your family. Now, could I have the date of birth of your wife? So that on her birthday, I want to personally send her a handwritten card. Then when you say this, you better do it lah, huh? You better do it. Do what you say lah. Don't just say. I'm just giving you this script right now. This is the best opportunity right now in this season to call someone up because you know they're at home and you ask for the data and ask for the information. If they don't like to give you, that's fine. Don't die. Move on to the next one. I guarantee you, if you do it 100 times a day, you'll get 10 or 20 of them replying and responding to you.
Yep. Cool.
And also, I want to remind you one day ahead before your wife's birthday, so I can be the help to remind you for your wife's birthday.
Yeah, and also buy property to show love.
There you go.
Any more questions that I want to answer?
John, while waiting for questions, right, I think like a lot of the questions that comes from this fear of being rejected, fear of like, what if I call and then clients say this, clients say that, you know, that kind of fear. How would you actually overcome that fear? Or what do you actually teach your members in your team? Practice
more. Practice 10,000 times. One kick, practice 10,000 times. Because if you lack of practice, now I remember when I first give talk on the stage, and I was so scared. And right now I'm not afraid. And because I practice a lot of time, I have fear. Doing cold call and standing on stage, which one is more fearful? I think standing on stage is a bit scary because doing cold call, I don't see that person. So it's all about practice. Now, I think I do not have the right answer, but I think practice makes perfect and build confidence. That's how I see the transformation in Jonathan's son, who came out only 22 years old and don't know how to do cold call, and today he's a cold call master. That's how I see a transformation for 18 years old young lady that never worked before but able to close 6 deals. And if I ask her to make 100 calls today, she's able to do it. So how to answer you that question, I think based on the proven strategy is to practice it. And you need an environment with you. You need an environment that do cold call together and make calls together. So that's what I can do it. So one of my job is to create that environment for people to do cold call. Because if you know cold call is the way to go, if let's say you know cold call is very low cost and you can get sales done, then my job is to make a cold call day for everyone. Come in, make 3 hours cold call, make 100 calls and get 4 potential clients. That's it. Your job finished. Go back.
Let me try to answer that question. I think it's a very good question about that potential limiting beliefs and that. And my number one question would be to those agents right now, if this is a hypothetical question, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but it's a hypothetical situation that I want to throw to you right now. Imagine this, after MCO come, whatever marketing strategy you're doing that is not prospecting based, that's not calling someone, nothing has happened, what are you going to do? Yep. What is the effect of you not doing those things and hoping for marketing to happen, but marketing is not bringing you the results? What's the impact? What is the impact for you right now in your life and your family's life? Ask yourself that question. What happens if nothing changes? There's no leads, there's no sales coming to you. What's going to happen to you?
Right.
Think about this. Use this as a perspective to think about it. Ask yourself this question. If I don't change the way I do things, what's going to happen? Because at the end of the day, let me tell you this, all of us have a choice. All of us are made somehow equal in this opportunity where we have the right and the ability to make decisions and choices. And you must be very clear why you're doing what you're doing. Now, if you ask yourself this question, if you don't see the change, you don't see any results, if you don't try this, what's going to happen to you right now? The reason why you're on this call today is because you have made some decision that you're not going to stay put. You're not watching Netflix right now. Congratulations. You're watching 2 Jonathans talking. This is not on Netflix, right? So this is important for you to think about. Someone asked a question about industrial. Cold call may be good for residential, but how about industrial? John, sorry?
This one I'm not too sure. I think I need to get...
Let me give you a perspective right now. Now, how many of you are doing commercial industrial right now in this room? Please type 1. If you're doing commercial industrial in this room right now, please type 1. Absolutely important. This is the best time right now to be calling your owners who are landlords or owners, who is industrial lot or commercial lot or industrial and commercial land. You know why? Because in a major market shift, this is the first point of time where there is movement. There's only 3 things that will happen. I have said this many times in my call. There are only 3 things that will happen. Number 1, what will happen is they will either upsize or they will downsize or they will close down. All these 3 requires certain things to be done to their property. Maybe I need to cash out my property in order to finance my business. That's going to happen. 90% of all SMEs today in Malaysia have only 2 to 3 months cash flow for their business. Guess where they're going to find money right now? They're going to sell or liquidate assets. How about those who are doing very, very well? Do they look at opportunities? So this is the right time to call them. Hey, Mr. Tan, during this season, can I support you in your business? You know what? All the landlords that I call that we are renting properties from in our businesses, we call them up and say, I want to reduce the rental. Almost all of them say yes. They only argue with us on what stage. This is the time for you to call your tenants right now. Hey, tenant, how are you doing? Can I support you by having the conversation with your business as a landlord or as a tenant? Do you need help? What's going on? This is the best time to call them. You don't have to call and say, do you want to sell something? Do you want to buy something? Hey, how's business? How can I support you? How can I help you right now? How can I support you to do your business? Is there anything I can do to serve you in your business right now? Do you need more space? Do you need less space? Are you looking at subletting? These are potential conversation starters. This is the best time, guys, because when the market is shifted and we know it's a downshift right now, commercial, industrial business will be affected. You've got to get on the phone and call them. This is the best time to call them. You know what? If you are not calling them, someone else will. I promise you that someone else will. I promise you that.
Correct. Someone else will. Right. Any more questions, guys?
Yeah.
Nope.
Just now there was a question by Nizam, that his clients concerned on economy outlook and not sure about their business capital requirement. So the question is like, should he follow up to address their concern or just include them in 36 touches? How would you deal with this kind of situation, John?
I think gonna be very personal now. Now I remember Johnson sent me a message that the client worry about the business, and I say stop pushing product and care about the client. Even after MCO, care about the client. Make sure the business is okay, and talk to the client and say what we can do to help your business. Can I bring any referral to your business? And forget about the property, because the client is in fear right now. So I think if you have the kind of client, you know that no one will make any decision when they are in fear. No one will make any decision when they are in fear. So when they are in fear, especially for certain client I do not know, then just forget about property at the moment and care about the client business. So that's my advice, right? So care about your business also part of the touch point.
Right. So if I would to reiterate what you just said is that those 36 touches and all these touch points are systematic models that will allow you to actually be a consultant for your clients, and then the caring factor is actually a big part of your business.
Correct.
So it's not just about pushing products, about closing that deal. It's about nurturing that relationship.
You are 100% correct. We don't push product, by the way. If you look at this picture, everyone in this picture, we don't push client to buy. They buy because they are happy to buy from us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think the goal focus is to build relationships.
Correct.
The stronger relationships you have, the biggest opportunity that you have. There's a quick question here by Madeline. I'll just quickly answer this. Yes, there's a platform. It's called Workplace. Once you're on board with us, when you go into Workplace, you will have access to a group where all the commercial or industrial agents are there. Just to answer Madeline's question. Is there any other questions, Sumin, that I missed out, that we missed out?
Just one last question, very interesting one. It's by Timothy Ong. He says that if his customer that he follow up say that they will actually purchase the project you are selling if you are able to sell off their current property, what would you do? I'm assuming that this is a project agent, and then he's wondering then would you pass this lead to another agent that's doing sub-sales, or how would you handle this?
Right, cool. I face this a lot. John also have this kind of client. I mean, Jonathan also have this kind of client. Now we say, what listing are you having right now, right? So we look at the property. Now, if the property, the price is realistic, and if the client really need help, then we will do. Or if the client want to sell a very high price and want us to sell the property, then only will buy from you, right? Then I think the client is not ready yet. Then I say, I'm so sorry, I'm not expert in sub-sale and your price is a bit too high. Then I will wait for the client to sell the property, because if the client sell above market price, I think the next 1 or 2 years, he won't be able to sell off the property and he won't be able to buy the next one. But I will still keep in touch with the client. But I to be honest, I won't waste my time, because your time is important. You don't want to waste your time on the not quality listing, because your time is money. But I will advise the client what to do. But I will move on and keep in touch with the client. Right? Any more?
There's a question of is there a training on KW context and touch point? So let me be very clear with everyone in this audience, especially those who are in Redfield KW Malaysia. If you do not have a GPS, if you do not know your economic model, you don't understand that well enough, the challenge of you running command would be very, very challenging, because you don't know how many you need, what you need to do. So if I ask quickly, I ask John Kuek right now. John, for your project Maple, for example, let's just say, for example, how many sales, what is your goal right now to hit for Maple?
Like, let's say for Watts, because Maples...
yeah, let's say Watts. What is your goal right now for Watts? 4 sales in how long?
64 in a year.
64 sales in a year. How many appointments must you have to convert into a sale?
we need about 5 or 6 appointments to convert.
So 5 to 6 to 1 ratio. So meaning 64 multiplied by 6 is about 360 plus. Am I right?
Correct, correct.
So about 400, you need to have 400 appointments in order for you to get that, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So
and
correct.
How many calls must you make to hit that 400 appointments?
Now, so if one appointment, you probably will need to make about 100 calls. One appointment with 100 calls. But you will have potential client. You have about 3 potential clients. So if you ask me, you want to get immediate appointment, maybe 100, you will get 1. But over the year, that 100 maybe will 2 or 3 over a year, they will come, you know, for a different project. But you are filtering when you do cold call at that time.
Got it. So if you want to learn how to use the system and the command on that, because right now we are labbing and we are selecting people, you've got to demonstrate that you understand your economic model first. That is the number one thing that you need to do. If you don't have an economic model, that part would not work for you. That's why success is sequential. The economic model comes first before lead generation model. Does that make sense? So if you are not able to understand that, the economic model, your lead generation model don't kick in, you don't have to touch. You can't initiate that on command. Now, Ilan has a good question. How do we get 36 touches without an admin? 100 clients acquisition is 3,700. That's why you use technology. That's why you time block. That's why you time block. If you time block daily 10 4s or daily 10 20s, if you time block every single day, 2 hours, I'm going to follow up. In command, you have something called tasks, and tasks will update you. This is a due time for you to do this right now. You just do the task. That's why you need to first systematically understand how much database you need to have in order to support your business according to the economic model. Does that make sense so far? I hope I make myself very, very clear. The models are critical here. That's why it is a scalable model. That's why people like John Kuek and his team is facing success, is because they are following a model. Right? We'll talk more about it. We may want to repeat the economic model or lead generation model as a training. Now, give me a show of hands here. How many of you would like to start to go through economic model again? If you want, say yes. All right. A lot of people say yes. We will do it again. Good. Someone asked a question, Timothy, can KW command automate EDMs for projects, birthday greetings, New Year greetings? Does this KW reminds you to do it? You physically still text customer one by one. Right now, in the US, it's automated, but in Malaysia, we are still doing it physically with a reminder because we are still labbing with them on certain applets in smart plans to make it work for us in Malaysia. But there's something like emails automation is already available for the automation, but the other stuff and all that, we are still working with them technically on how to make that work, right? Right now, it's just a task to remind you. So you just pick up you just on your system every day, and there's a task to remind you to do it one by one. There is a potential of us going to do it automatically, and we are still working. It's still work in progress for that, Timothy. There you go. Now everybody want to go through. Email and SMS is working in command. So MJ is testing that right now. There you go. So everyone wants to go on a economic model. This is where you need to learn that, to make sure that you are in models to start talking about the way John Kuek is doing it. Right.
Correct. So we even will have a training to talk a little bit about, internal training for FDRT to talk a little bit about KW Command, because Ashlyn, our productivity coach, she's holding everyone accountable to use that.
Yeah. Janice has a question. Does Command has the ability to create brochure? Absolutely. It is called designs. You can actually create brochures. You can create, I think, social media postings. You can create emails, and you can create a lot of stuff. John, back to you, John.
Right, cool. So in the team right now, in the team structure, we have Ashlyn as a productivity coach here that to teach you how to run a business. We have our Shafiq, who is doing Malay market, and she's quite good. By the way, in this team, right, we have about 3 PA here. So Shafiq is the master in property investment. Then we have this lady, Fazana. Fazana used to be my telemarketers. And beginning of this year, 1st January, she decided to be an agent, and she's able to close the deal. Then after that, MCO kicks in. So I think not too bad. And all the deal here, every one of us here, make deal from cold call, right? So if you really want to know how to do cold call, talk to this group of people, and especially, you know, Ashlyn or Jonathan's son. I think he's the best person to talk about cold calling. Now, guys, I just want to let you know, we don't just do training, and we are focusing on transaction right now, and we are in the midst of doing a team formation for M Vertica core team. And if any one of you want to really be in that environment, to make transaction, to talk to client, to have meeting and to do business together, come and join the project briefing tomorrow, 2:15. So there's a Zoom ID, there's a Zoom password. You're welcome to join, right? You also can join the M Vertica appointment group. I will post it to the group later. Then you guys can click it and you join. Then we'll talk about this. M Vertica is actually at Cheras, 500 meters to MRT and LRT station. So the product is really, really good. Now, guys, this is to the end of my presentation, and I love you to follow me on my Facebook, you know. So you can go to Facebook, search me, Jonathan Kuek, or we can scan the QR code and you will get me on Facebook and we can talk about that. Right, so that's the end of my session today, and I hope you get the great value out of it.
So everyone, how many of you are learn something today and going to take action right now? How many of you are going to do that right now? You learn something, you're going to take action right now. Awesome. Can I have the announcement, please? Announcement, please. Announcement slides, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how many of you think that we are delivering good value to you right now? So I need you will probably be given a link right now. You can copy and paste that link, or you could actually reply to some of the emails that we will send you to give us feedback about how our session is so that we can improve ourselves. Your feedback is critical and important for us to learn how we can do things better, because we are all still in the learning process and we will never be the best until we end our lives. So this is where we are right now. So this is an update on the announcements. I want to just quickly go through this very fast. This is the schedule for the next training. Next one, please. Next one, please. We're going to do tomorrow morning. I will be doing a Cantonese a Cantonese session. I'm a bit confused, or a bit not confused. I'm a bit anxious about this because it's my first time doing an official Cantonese question. So either you come in and learn something, or you come in and be entertained by my Cantonese, right? So you come in and join a training for about mindset in Cantonese tomorrow morning. Next slide, please. This is a Bahasa Melayu training on the lead generation model in Bahasa Melayu. If you're interested, go and join this again. Next one, please. Now, if you have really saw value in our training today, and we are not charging anything, and I'm not asking for any money, but if you think you can see some value here, I ask that you could support us in partnering with us to contribute a donation to Community at Heart. I just ask if you think there's value that we are doing for the past 3 weeks. We just want you to be able to partner with us and demonstrate your gratitude to us by supporting us in the donation drive. We are trying to at least feed 51 underprivileged families in Puchong that could support them for 1 month. Now, I wish I can do more than 2 months. If we can collect money for 2 months, that would be fantastic, right? It will be very fantastic. So help us to partner with us, work with us, so that we can make someone's life better today. Okay, so with that, I want to thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jonathan Kuek, for doing this. As usual, it's probably an excellent and amazing session. I believe you have impacted many lives today in your sharing, and I hope all of us will take advantage of what we have learned and put it into practice and get something done today. Okay, with that, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.